Hey guys, my name is Cameron. I'm a physical therapist and strength coach at Bespoke Treatments here in New York City. And by now you've seen or participated in some workouts or training programs by RSP Nutrition and Bodybuilding.com. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a supplemental joint mobility program to make sure that your joints are staying healthy and that you're getting the most out of your program. So we're going to go over 6 different exercises today. And I chose these 6 because as a physical therapist, this is where I see the most dysfunction and the most common, these are the areas of the most common mobility limitations. So before we get to the program, some other things to consider for joint health. Make sure you're hydrating enough. You want to consume half of your body weight in ounces of water per day. So I weigh about 180 pounds, so I want to consume at a minimum 90 ounces of water. Also consider supplementing with collagen. Your cartilage, your tendons, your ligaments, they're all made up out of collagen. So it is important for your joint health. Third, training creates a very inflammatory response at your joints. So you also want to make sure that you're consuming some healthy fats. So I like the avocollagen because it combines those last two. You get collagen and avocado fat. So it's a really good training aid if you are training hard for your joint health. So let's get to it. We're going to go over 6 different exercises. You can do these pre-workout or as a standalone program. Let's get to it. All right, so for this mobility program, you're going to need some bands and some anchors. If you're at the gym, a squat rack works really nice because you can just move the band higher and higher up on the rack. If you're at home because of COVID-19, just use somewhere that's going to be sturdy. A bed frame is usually best. I understand it's not adjustable. You can still use your bed frame for all of these. You just have to come down lower to the ground for all the upper body variations. So we're going to start with our low anchor and we're going to do our ankles first. All right, so I got my band set up on my low anchor. You can see I'm barefoot. That's where we want to be for this first one. Your shoe can kind of get in the way. So you're going to step inside your band. You're going to get some tension on it. And you're going to place the band right below these 2 ankle bones. If you get it too high, you're not really going to be mobilizing your ankle. Your ankle joint is actually below those 2 bones. I'm going to come down onto my knee. I have a good amount of tension through this band. It's pulling me straight back. And I'm just going to drive my knee forward as far as I can while keeping my heel down. So you can see this position, it looks very similar to a squat. So you can see why we need that ankle mobility for our lower body base. Most people lose this ankle dorsiflexion, so it's a really important one to work on. You want to, at a minimum, get your knee past your toes. But really, if you're training, you want to maximize that, so really drive that knee forward. Okay, let's switch to the other side. I'm gonna get my other foot in there. Again, below those 2 ankle bones. Don't come too high. If you find that fold where the skin tends to fold, that's exactly where you want to be. So you see my heel stays down throughout. I'm driving that knee forward, straight towards my middle toe, as far as I can. You can also just stay at that end range and kind of oscillate there. That's another variation that works well, but if you're doing this pre-training, take your joint through its full range of motion. So come in and come out, full range. Okay, so that's our dorsiflexion ankle mobilization. All right, so we just mobilized our ankles. We're going to take it to the hips next. So we're going to work on our hip extension. That's really important for the top of your squats, or your deadlifts, even your core work. If you don't have a lot of hip extension, you tend to get a lot of lumbar extension. So it's really important to get that too. So you can still, again, you can still use your low anchor, but I'm going to get it a little bit higher. Step through the band, get it as high on your hip as you can, get a good amount of tension. You can see I'm really taking up a lot of slack there. On the same side, I'm dropping down to my knee, and I'm just letting it pull my hip forward. I want to squeeze my butt so my pelvis stays straight ahead. I'm going to let it pull me forward, and then I'm going to reach up and over. As you're doing this one, it's important that you aren't hyperextending your low back, leaning backwards. I'm just pushing my hip forward and slightly reaching up and over my opposite shoulder. You're gonna feel a deep stretch in the front of your hip all the way up through your abs. And again, just make sure you're squeezing that butt, especially as you lean backwards. To come out of that, hook onto the band, make sure it doesn't pull you too far forward. We're gonna switch sides. Again, get it as high on your hip as you possibly can. Take it out with your hands, drop down on that same side. Squeeze your butt, let it pull you forward. Don't lean back. Once I'm anchored there, I'm reaching up and over. You might find one side's a little bit tighter. You might feel it in a little bit of a different spot. I tend to feel this one a little bit more on the outside of my hip flexor. That's okay. It's the movement you're focusing on. You need to extend your hips where you feel it. That's just what's limiting you. All right, next one. All right, so we did our ankles, our hips. We're moving up the body to our thoracic spine. That's your upper back. Just think of your thoracic spine as the area of your spine from the bottom of your ribs to the tops of your shoulder blades. If you're like me, you know, I get stuck in this position all the time. I'm always like this. So this is one I do every day to make sure that I open up. Opening up the thoracic spine is really important for all of your overhead work. And really, it's actually really important for all of your horizontal pushing and pulling work too, because your shoulder blades need to be able to move on a flexible spine. So if you're really crunched down here, imagine trying to get up overhead, right? That's how you start bothering your shoulders. So this is a good one to open up that upper back. So you're gonna take your bands, loop your hands through, bring it around your back, kind of right around your shoulder blades, as if you're gonna do like a resisted push-up. You're gonna sit back onto your heels. That's gonna lock out your low back. Then I'm just using the force of the band to pull my back into extension. And I'm just gonna use some reps there. And you can move the band to different spots on your upper back depending on where you're stiffer. So right now I'm just kind of broadly in the middle of my thoracic spine. I tend to get a little bit stiffer higher up, so I'm just gonna bring it a little bit higher. I'm gonna do the same thing. Pull you forward, lift the chest, and relax. And you can see that I'm getting out of that rounded position and into a more extended position. So with that extended position, you can see much easier to get the arms up overhead. So that's how we mobilize our thoracic spine using a resistance band. All right, so we did our ankles, our hips, and our thoracic spine. Now we're getting into our shoulders. We have 3 different ones for the shoulders. First one, working on our shoulder rotation, internal and external rotation. This is a component of a lot of movements that are really important. So I'm gonna get the bands right around my shoulder. You can use kind of the sharp bone on the edge to give you a sense of where you want to be. If you're in too close, you're not on your shoulder. It's not really doing anything. I want to actually keep my shoulder and my shoulder blade pulled back with this one. So I'm getting right on that sharp bone. I'm stepping forward. I'm going to get my same side leg forward so it kind of locks me into place. My elbows at shoulder height. I'm going to rotate down and I'm going to rotate back up. Now the reason I have the band here is because most people, when they get into that rotation, the shoulder pops forward. I want to keep that shoulder centered in its socket at both the external and internal end range there. Switch sides. So again, make sure you aren't all the way through here. You're just off that bone there. Get some tension on the band, stepping forward with the same side, elbow at shoulder height. I'm rotating down and back up. You'll find that you might be a little bit stiffer in one direction. My internal rotation is really tough, so that makes it hard for me to do things like dips, push-ups, bench press, kind of all of those pushing movements with good form. So I really want to make sure I work on my internal rotation, this downward motion. You might find that that external rotation is tougher for you. So just spend a little bit more time there. Okay, let's get to the next one. All right, next one, we're gonna work on our shoulder extensions. We're gonna stay with that high anchor. I'm gonna loop my hand through and then just kind of hook on so I can keep my arm relaxed. I'm gonna bring my same side leg forward. I'm gonna get that tension through the bands. You wanna get the same side leg forward so that you stay a little bit more squared up. Now you can see this position right here, this shoulder extension, this is really important for all of your pushing and pulling where you're at a horizontal level. So anytime your arm gets past your body, that's shoulder extension. You wanna make sure you have that to keep your shoulders healthy in those ranges. So I'm keeping my shoulder blade pulled back, my neck is relaxed, I'm staying up tall. And then I'm just gonna do some lunges while the band pulls me straight backwards. I wanna try and stay squared up here as I go up and down through here. Keep the arm relaxed, but keep the shoulder blade pulled back with these ones. One more here, and then we'll switch sides. Okay, other side. So again, just loop your hand through the top, relax the arm on there. I'm gonna get the same side leg forward, a good amount of tension, pulling that shoulder blade back, staying up tall, and I'm just dropping down and coming back up. You might feel this through your pec, you might feel it through your bicep, you might feel it through the front of the shoulder. That's just where you're the tightest and where you're the most blocked into that shoulder extension. One more there. Make sure the shoulder blades are pulled back. Good. Okay, we got one more. All right, for this last one, we need a high anchor. Again, you can do this one with a low anchor, you just have to get closer to the ground. So this one, we're working on getting higher and higher overhead. So I'm gonna take my arm, I'm gonna loop it through the bottom, and then just hook my hand on so I can really relax my arm and let it just pull me out. So my right arm's in the band. I wanna step back with my right leg. My other arm is on my leg, and I'm just using that to push, so I rotate towards the side. And I'm really just trying to open up my lats, my pecs, and my shoulder through here. Okay, let's get the other side. Loop the hand through the bottom, hook on the top, so you can just keep your arm relaxed. If I have my left arm in here, I'm stepping back with my left leg. My other arm is on my thigh. And I'm using that arm to pry myself open. You know, I feel this one all the way down the side of my body. You might feel it in your chest more, or in your tricep, bicep. But really the important thing is we're just trying to work on this movement, this overhead position. One more here. All right. So that was our full body mobility routine. You can do this as a pre-workout warm-up. Just do about 20 reps of each, or spend a little bit more time on the ones that you feel stiffer with. Or you can do this as a standalone mobility program. Just spend about a minute in each position. My name is Cameron, and I'm coming to you from Bespoke Treatments in New York City. Thanks for joining me.